Hey everybody, it's Kenny K here again with a classic, The Legend of Hell House, 1973. Gets a 6.6 on IMDb. It, now, the score, I will tell that at the end of the movie. It's a good score from me, but it's worth the 6.6. But for me, I'm not a big haunted house fanatic, but I do occasionally like to pick those really good ones out there and um, watch those. There's directed by John Hugh, who also did The Incubus in 19, I think it was from 80, 1981. Yeah, I did a review a couple of days ago. Disturbing, but really great acting horror movie about uh, women getting raped to death, basically, by the incubus, a demon-like creature that poses as a human among us, but it's a who done it. Who's the incubus? That's the clue. Look that if you're interested in that. Really great movie. Got a review. Just think that was my second, the day after yesterday. So check it out. Great review. Great review. Now this movie has the only known actor. Probably all these actors were known. There were only 4 people involved, and the, the, they were probably all 50s and 60s renowned actors, British actors. But the only one that I know is Roddy McDowell, because I know him from A Clockwork Orange. If you ever saw that movie, that freaky movie, when he kills a woman with a giant penis. And he's also the awful Dr. Loomis in Rob Zombie's Halloween. Yeah, the raped version of Loomis. So, but he is a good actor back in his heyday, the 60s, the 70s. So he's actually, his name is Fisher. He's a physical medium. Now you have another medium called, she's Mrs. Tanner, and she's a mental medium. Now I'm not sure what the difference is. I'm not a, those medium things. I don't know what that is. For me, it's the same, but okay, it's probably something different. You got Dr. Barrett and his wife Anne Barrett, who comes with him always. He's the physicist, and also the skeptic. Of course, we need to have a skeptic, right? They all get paid $100,000 each to go there and prove if ghosts do exist or don't exist. So the physicist is there to disprove it, and the mediums are there to prove it. So they go to this castle almost of a house, and they call it Hell House. Why? Because the owner was a guy named Emmerich Belasco. They called him the Giant Belasco, the feared giant Belasco. He was a vile and disgusting man, and he tortured people, and he held orgies for the rich. So, like, disgusting guy. And one night, somewhere in the 20s, 27 guests die in unknown circumstances, and he is missing, Belasco himself. And then in the 50s, a team of 9 investigators, paranormal investigators, but there's also a doctor there, a clairvoyant, multiple mediums, also a physicist from Oxford, which is one of the highest, a professor, they all died except one. They all horribly died except one, Fisher. He's back again, and he's only there to collect the 100 grand. That's it. Now they okay. So the thing is, they have this. Like I said, the investor prove me that this thing is real. And then Fisher, what he does is he completely shuts himself down. He knew what the horror of this house was. He saw it with his own eyes. People getting ripped apart. Shit, fucking. That team of 8, that team in the 50s where he was a part of. But there's a little exposition before they pick up Fisher. Dr. Barrett and his wife are he's telling that story about the paranormal team that died. Only one survived, Fisher, and he's a raving lunatic. He was really, I mean, he was a douchebag. He's a douchebag. Barrett was this skeptic, this like, thick neck, dandy douchebag. And they pick up Fisher, Roddy McDowell, and they also pick up Mrs. Tanner. She's also a medium. Now she's young, and she really is like, oh, it's like Wonderland, She opens her up completely. She lets everything come her way. So the only place she wasn't ready to go in was there's this fucking fly followed me from Hell House. There is this chapel, and she couldn't get in because there was too much hurt and vile, malignant in that room, so she couldn't get in. Now what she does is, okay, she is basically the entire movie long, she gets abused, but she thinks that she's communicating with the son of Belasco, Daniel Belasco, and he wants to be freed. He wants to be, help me. But at some point, Dr. Barrett uses her to all extent because she's opening up, but he knows that Fisher is shut down, and he knows that the investor lost a quarter of his money on Fisher, and he admits it. I'm just here to collect the money. I'm shutting myself off. I know the horror of this house. And she's warning Mrs. Tanner not to open herself up like that because she doesn't know who she's talking to. She believes she's talking to Daniel Belasco, the innocent Belasco, but is she? Right? She's 100% sure. So they're having this like seance, and she starts to talk like in the Exorcist voice, get out now or I'll kill you. I don't want to, but I'll kill you all. Like this voice, real creepy. There's a moment when she's in her room, she gets hit from left to right. Then there's a moment where there's this black cat, and it's possessed, and it attacks her, and she gets scratched and bitten to hell. And Dr. Barrett thinks she's doing it to herself, or she's exaggerating, and she's scratching herself. But I mean, she had a fucking bite mark in her fucking neck. How the fuck are you gonna do that? Yeah. And then Fisher keeps warning her, let me take you out of here. Let's forget about money. Let's go. Let's just go. And she doesn't want to. And Fisher has this kind of responsibility, that feeling of responsibility towards Miss Tanner because she's young and she doesn't know what she's doing. She's opening herself up, and she's constantly getting abused by this, what she thinks is the son of Belasco, of Emmerich Belasco. There are moments that the wife of Dr. Barrett is coming down the stairs trying to fuck Fisher because she's possessed by a whore that was killed there, one of the orgy whores, and she constantly he slaps her, and she's out of, what am I doing here? So Barrett thinks, oh, she sleepwalks. She sleepwalked. That wasn't sleepwalking. She was completely a different person. She does it twice, by the way. Good old Dr. Fisher, good old medium Fisher, you know, doesn't take advantage, you know. Good old McDowell. Now, there is this moment when eventually Mrs. Tanner finds the body of Daniel Belasco chained to the wall somewhere behind a secret wall, and they bury him outside. She's, you know, doing his last rites, and Fisher's standing next to her, but Barrett doesn't want anything to do with it. He's busy with making this giant box, metal box, that he thinks that everything is manifested, everything is fake, everything is just manifested fakery, and that machine will essentially, if you put it on, will suck all of the manifested fakery out of the house, and will prove that there's no such thing as poltergeists or whatever entities there. And Mrs. Tanner is completely against it. Fisher is like, this thing won't work, and he knows that. But at some point, Fisher feels kind of guilty that he's, you know, profiteering for the money, and there's this moment where he takes off his glasses, and he sits down on the fireplace, and he does like, ah, and he starts a convulsion on the ground. He's like, now we don't see, I'm guessing, we don't see what happens to him later on, but I'm guessing he shuts himself back off. He opened himself up for a little moment, and immediately he gets attacked. Now, what Mrs. Tanner does, at some point, she still hears Daniel, help me, help me. She finds the cat dead in the shower, but she sees a figure in the shower, and then she opens it and she sees blood floating off. She opens it, the figure's gone, but this is the dead black cat there. And at some point she says, okay, Daniel, okay, I will give you all my love so you can be free. So what she does is, you see some nudity. She completely goes naked. She crawls in the bed and she says, take me. I'll give you all my love. Take me. So she basically gets fucked by a ghost, but actually she's getting raped by a fucking ghost, and not by Daniel Belasco. Because after that, she's completely gone mad, half still Miss Tanner, half still. Fisher finds her, and she says, "We gotta take you out of here. You don't know what you're doing." And then she's laughing like, "You fucking shit! You think you can, you will not survive this time, bastard!" Like that again, you know, that voice again. It's creepy. It's creepy. It gets my hair up. Really, it's creepy. There are really creepy moments in this movie, and the thing is that usually these haunted house movies, they're actually made to creep you out, more to creep you out than anything else. Gore, you have a little bit of gore. You have a little bit of gore, but that's spoiler, okay? That's the spoilers. And I'm gonna talk about spoilers now. So if you wanna see this movie, it's I think for a horror fan, it's a must-see. It's a must-see for a horror fan. Yes, if you're not into the haunted house stuff, because it always has a little bit of a slow burn, but it does have the exposition that comes with it, and it's creepy, and the way they're like you said, 27 guests dies in horrible ways without any explanation how. a team of paranormal investigators get ripped to pieces, and also Fisher knows what it did, what it was, but he luckily survived. Now if I was Fisher, I wouldn't get back in that house. No way, not even for 100 grand. But in the 70s, 100 grand was probably 100,000 pounds. Was probably a lot of money. But for today's standards, you're not gonna get no way, Jose. If I was a physical medium, yeah. Take that and take two with it. Take two of these in the morning. I would say no. But okay. Back then, 73, 100,000 pounds. Probably a lot of money. He probably didn't have a lot of money. So yeah, he was dressed kind of cheap. So I'm guessing he, Dr. Barrett had money. He was a professor, I also think, from a pristine college and shit. That's why he was like, the skeptic. And eventually, what happens is, okay, so before I go to spoilers, like I said, a must-watch for horror fans. If you're not in the haunted house thing, okay, don't do it. But like I said, it's a slow burn, but with the exposition with it, it's creepy. And it's mostly Tanner who gets the abuse the entire movie long, the mental medium, basically. She is getting attacked by this black cat. She's scratched, bitten all over her, and she gets raped, basically. She gets, it's fucking, she was like a kid in Wonderland, opening herself up, thinking, oh, ghosts. But actually, Belasco is a fucking asshole, because she eventually runs to the chapel. Then she goes in the chapel this time, because she's like half possessed, half, Tanner. And the cross that was there, this cross with a unhuman-like figure, not Jesus, falls right on her, impales her, blood spews out her mouth, so you gotta go gore there. And she says, you tricked me, you duped me. And she, with the last effort she has, she draws from the blood that's seeping off the the cross, she draws for some reason a circle. But okay, she could easily just be, and then a circle. So basically what she wanted to warn them of, it's Belasco, but not Daniel Belasco. It's Emmerich Belasco who's doing all this shit. It was all the Emmerich Belasco was all doing all the fucked up shit to Mrs. Tanner. So what, and that's something weird. So Fisher, the entire movie long, he's like very protective over her. And okay, she's dead. Everybody runs out of the house, puts the machine on, the big metal box to get the spirits out. They go outside, they're waiting for a few minutes. It's the last day that they're there. There are like 4 nights there. And they go back in, and Fisher opens himself up, and he doesn't feel a thing anymore, and he doesn't feel anything anymore, and he believes that the metal box is real. But then something happens, and then Barrett's like so smug. His wife is going to her room to pack everything in, and he's okay, I'm just gonna do some some data work here, and then everything starts to go foobar. Everything, the barometers, everything, and he's like, no, this is impossible. I can't believe it. This is impossible. And then everything starts to shake, and the typical poltergeist stuff. And then there's this cool moment, also a little bit gory, that this stone, this stone statue implodes and the shards like like shrapnel flying in his face, and he's like full bloody and he's running away like that. They eventually Mrs. Ann Barrett, the wife, goes downstairs to look for him. Fisher holds her. She says, "We need to be careful. We need to be careful." She goes to the chapel, and I think he ran to the chapel. He couldn't see because of, I think, one of his eyes was punctured by the shrapnel, the stone, and he's lying there. We penetrated also by a chandelier, and she's like, "Ah, no!" And she wants to go, but says, "No, no, 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 no. He's here. He's still here. It's Belasco." And then Fisher goes again, takes off his glasses. It's just to, protect his glasses. He's going mano a mano against Emmerich Belasco, and he says, "You're here, right? You are here. Emmerich Belasco, you stupid little man. Big giant," they said. "What were you? 5'3", 5'2", 5 feet?" And then he gets punched away by Belasco, and then he stands up again. "Your mother was a whore, a trick. You were no genius. You were a prostitute son, bastard son." Then he gets again punched away, and then he keeps cutting up and pounding on Belasco. And eventually Belasco gives up. They find this hidden room that was completely like, the walls were from lead, and that's the reason why the machine didn't work, because it's like Belasco saw this moment coming in the future and tried to seal himself off. He's sitting there. You think, first time you see him sitting, and I think, what the fuck? It's Belasco. He's sitting there. No, he was like taxidermy. He was stuffed. Like he was conserved there, like mummified or whatever. But his face, I think it was a real guy. It was a real guy. But it was Belasco. He hid himself there, and they preserved him there, and that's how his ghost kept alive and roaming around the fucking mansion. So what he does is, like, he takes out the knife, Fisher, and he stabs him in the leg, and then rips it off, and you see that he had fake fucking legs. So what he did was the crazy son of a bitch. He hacked off because he was a small man. He wasn't a genius. He wasn't that. He was just a filthy pervert. And he wasn't a giant. So what he did was hacked his legs off and put prosthetics in there. So fucked up he was. But I swear to you, the guy sitting there was supposed to be a puppet or something. It was a real man. You could see it. It was a real man. He didn't move at all. But that wasn't a puppet. So detailed. That was a puppet. It was a man that could hold really still. Yeah. So they run out of the mansion. They put on the box again, and then you hear everything getting out. You see him going through the gates with Mrs. Barrett, and then you see the black cat still sitting. He's still not dead on the one of the pillars of the gate, and that's how the movie just ends. Now, listen, this movie is really good. It's a really good movie. It's creepy. It has a really creep factor to it, and the creepiness is actually mostly told by exposition and the environment. Certainly the environment. And then Mrs. Stanner basically getting that exorcist voice, and she gets attacked, and she gets fucking raped, and she then gets killed, skewered by a fucking like a demon-like creature, like on a cross, and It's creepy. It's creepy. It has some a little bit of gore, you know, Dr. Barrett and Mrs. Tanner, and like I said, these haunted house movies always work on a certain creep factor for me. The good ones. There's another one that I want to review, and I saw that one years ago called Burnt Offerings with Oliver Reed. I'm gonna see that one again and review that one because I like that one really. Also, there's a really creepy, even more creepier than this, in my opinion. This, and by the way, we all know Scary Movie, right? The first one was based off Scream and a little bit of the Blair Witch Project. Now the second one, and I love the first one and the second one, and part 3 and 4 I hated, and part 5 I never seen. But the second one is actually based on this story, because at some point you have Cindy, was she, not Sydney, but Cindy. She's fine. I'm thinking that was her name, right? She's fighting the black cat. So the black cat's possessed, and he's doing like and they're doing this Rocky style of boxing, and then one girl, I think that was an actress from Beverly Hills 90210. She gets raped first, but then she likes it, and she gets like to the ceiling, hump, and then you see them both with a cigarette in their mouth, and then she says, okay, so we're now a couple, right? I'm actually the countess then, and he's like, uh-oh. And then eventually she loves him, and then he says, you gave me crabs. So it's Scary Movie Part 2 is based on the Legend of Hell House. The only thing that wasn't included in that movie was the guy, you know, with the creepy hands, and then, you know, here's a turkey. Oh, I don't know what that is, but I'm gonna lick it. And then with that, but in any case, this movie, it's a really creepy movie. It's really well done, really well acted. It's the acting that actually made it so creepy. These actors were so good that they didn't need all these special effects and fucked up things. The cat itself was fucked up creepy because he was really mauling on her and scratching, and I mean, it's a creepy movie. It's a really creepy movie, and just by exposition and just by doing this medium stuff, letting a ghost talk, and then that I must kill you, and then that it's just by sheer acting, this movie is super creepy. So I recommend it, but I'm giving it a 5.5. Why? Because I just I'll never see this one again. No, not because I hate it. I liked it, but I just am not a big haunted house fan. You know, I do see, but I believe for people who love haunted house movies that this is a 6.5, 6.6. It earns that number for sure. So must watch for horror fans. If you do not like haunted house films, then skip it maybe, but it's still a great movie and I liked it. So like the damn video, comment if you do like it, and what you liked, what you didn't like, and subscribe. It's free. So see you next time. Bye bye.